Have you ever noticed how some of the biggest stars in Hollywood just seem to disappear? One moment their faces are everywhere, and then suddenly it feels like they've vanished. You wonder where they went, what happened, and why you don't see them the way you used to. It's almost like fame has an expiration date that sneaks up on people. Now think about Angelina Jolie. She wasn't just famous, she was everywhere. She was the face you couldn't escape on magazine covers, in blockbuster movies, and on every red carpet. Angelina wasn't just a movie star, she was Hollywood's it girl, the kind of celebrity who seemed untouchable. But now it's different. You don't see her in that same spotlight anymore. She's not talked about in the same way. And you might be wondering, how did that happen? What caused that shift? Was it the endless scandals? Was it the very public divorce? Or was it something deeper that we don't usually think about when it comes to celebrities? The truth is, Angelina's story isn't just about fame. It's about choices, struggles, and the reality of what happens when the brightest light in Hollywood slowly starts to fade. And today, we're going to talk about her rise, her so-called downfall, and the surprising reasons she stepped away from being the center of Hollywood's world. Angelina's story starts with one thing: her rise to the top. And wow, what a rise it was. She wasn't just another actress trying to make it. She exploded into Hollywood like a storm. Her breakout role in Girl Interrupted didn't just make people notice her, it made her unforgettable. That performance won her an Oscar, and overnight Angelina became a household name. From there it only went up. She starred in massive movies like Tomb Raider and Mr. and Mrs. Smith, films that made millions and turned her into a global icon. But here's the thing, people didn't just admire her acting, they were fascinated by her. Angelina wasn't your typical Hollywood actress. She had tattoos when they weren't fashionable. She told wild stories in interviews, and she even shocked people with moments like kissing her brother on the red carpet. She wasn't afraid of being different. In fact, she leaned into it. That rebellious, mysterious vibe made her stand out in a town where everyone else seemed polished and perfect. But here's the twist about fame. The higher you rise, the closer the fall feels. It's almost like being on top of the world puts a target on your back. And for Angelina, that target came in the form of scandals and headlines. Let's be real for a second, Hollywood loves drama. And Angelina gave the tabloids plenty to talk about. The biggest story of them all: her relationship with Brad Pitt. Who could forget Brangelina? They weren't just a couple. They were the couple. Their faces were everywhere. Their love story was painted as a fairy tale, and people couldn't get enough. But behind all the glamour was controversy. The relationship began while Brad was still married to Jennifer Aniston, and suddenly, Angelina was cast as the villain in one of the most famous Hollywood love triangles. Let's not forget, this wasn't just any celebrity couple. This was Brangelina. For over a decade, they were the definition of glamour and power. They adopted children together, had biological children, worked on humanitarian projects, and built this image of a perfect blended family. From the outside, it looked unshakable. But inside, things were crumbling. The divorce wasn't just private heartbreak, it was public chaos. Every detail became a headline. Custody battles dragged on for years. Court documents leaked. Allegations surfaced. And suddenly, the media stopped talking about Angelina the actress, Angelina the activist, or Angelina the humanitarian. Instead, she became Angelina the scandal. Angelina the woman in court. Angelina the ex-wife. It's exhausting just to think about, isn't it? Imagine going through one of the hardest experiences of your life, and instead of being allowed privacy, you have millions of people watching, judging, and commenting. Every move, every expression, every decision picked apart by strangers. For Angelina, the spotlight no longer felt like an honor. It felt like a punishment. And that's when you start to see the bigger picture. Fame isn't just about talent or luck. It's about timing, reinvention, and the ability to survive seasons. Experts often say that celebrity careers come in waves. Some stars reinvent themselves constantly. Think Madonna, Lady Gaga, even Robert Downey Jr. They adapt to every era. But Angelina didn't do that. She didn't chase reinvention. She didn't rebrand herself for the sake of staying on top. Instead, she chose to redefine her life on her own terms. She chose her kids. She chose her health. She chose her activism. She put acting last on the list. even though it was the very thing that built her empire. Now here's where perspective matters. To Hollywood, this looked like a downfall. Fewer movies, fewer red carpets, fewer interviews. If you measure success only by fame, Angelina looked like she was fading. But when you look at it more closely, it wasn't a downfall at all. It was a conscious choice. She stepped away because she wanted peace. She wanted stability. She wanted a sense of purpose that Hollywood couldn't give her. And maybe that's something we can all learn from. We live in a world that tells us walking away is failure. That if you're not constantly climbing, constantly hustling, constantly shining, then you're falling behind. But Angelina's story shows us something different. Sometimes walking away isn't failure. It's the bravest, strongest choice you can make. Think about your own life for a second. Have you ever walked away from something? Not because you couldn't handle it, but because it no longer gave you peace. Maybe it was a job. Maybe it was a relationship. Maybe it was a lifestyle. On the outside, it might have looked like a loss, but on the inside, it was freedom. That's what Angelina did. So the big question is, was Angelina Jolie's fade from the spotlight really a downfall, or was it her way of taking control of her own story? Maybe she didn't lose fame. Maybe she traded it for something she valued more. And honestly, that's kind of powerful, isn't it?